Good morning. It is day 292. I'm in Florida and it's cold for Florida standards. Here than it is at home, so I'll take it. But we've got anyway. It's a beautiful day. I actually like clouds because the colors get more saturated. Things just look different. It's cool. So anyway, we're in Galatians 4 today, and boy, oh boy, I titled today Becoming, mainly because that word just keeps coming up. It's like every time I turn around, and hopefully you can hear me. There might be some wind noise here. I'm going to go try to find a place where, it's less, where you can get out of the wind. So anyway, so that's why I'm holding up my jacket here to help buffet that. So, becoming. And Paul goes back to Isaiah, back to Genesis, and retells the story of Abraham and then Sarah and Hagar having the children and doing things our way, the human way of kind of forcing, like trying to do it in our own strength, versus relying on God's promise, which includes God's timing, not our timing, and just allowing ourselves to be in the becoming. And He wants us to have freedom, but we're not always ready for it. Freedom is one of those things that has to be, I don't want to use the word earned, but you've got to learn how to live in it, walk in it. Otherwise, you can hurt yourself, hurt other people, be reckless with it. And especially if you don't fully understand what God's freedom is, and you think that it's just a blank check to just do whatever. So anyway, I'm going to come into a little shelter here. And as I'm starting my awareness and I'm starting to understand, like academically, what this freedom is, I'm fully also understanding, like, whoa, this is going to take a lot of practice. Like, this is overwhelming. And I'm thinking about even the concept of freedom. There are people that have maybe been in prison, like literally, and they choose to be in prison. They do things intentionally to land themselves there because freedom seems overwhelming. And then even when they get released, they do things to go right back. Like, it's just too overwhelming. They don't know what to do with it, how to live in it. The prison feels more comfortable because they know what to expect, what to do there, what the rules are. Like, humans want rules, and which is why we create them. And to some extent, to be able to live with each other, we need some rules, some guidelines, guardians of, behavior. And so the images that kept coming to my mind were ones of like tightrope walking, and even a tightrope. In order to walk on a tightrope, the rope has to be tight. If there's any slack in it, you can't balance. And this is what it's kind of like trying to live perfectly within the wall. As long as the rope is tight, as long as you do everything right, you've got the balance, you won't fall off. But, we inevitably fall off. And then we get frustrated. We take our eyes off of our own walk, and we see people maybe walking around on flat land, and we're like, hey, wait a minute. Or we see other tightrope walkers, and it takes us off our game. And so then we're even going, hey, watch your step. Don't step there. Don't do this or that. And then we fall. This is the temptation of humans. We want to keep each other's rules, keep each other in line. And then we step out of line in our doing that. we can't. And this is why the law condemns. It's heavy. It's a burden. It is constricting. Like, it's all of those things. And then we feel it. And then we're like, well, maybe I ought to give this freedom thing a try. Give love, and God's grace a try. Even those that are in the church that even say these words, they don't know what they're saying, because they're still trying to live by the law, just like people for millennia have been doing. So if you've been hurt by the church or other people that are talking about love and they're not living it, still have hope. That doesn't mean they're just human. We're all just humans trying to do our best. They're trying to do their best to uphold the law, and it's exhausting and it's tiring, and it requires you to be very judgmental. The law requires judgment. Think about it. So let's not hold people that are trying. They're just trying to be good. But in that trying to be good, you're just by default, you're being bad. Versus going over here in just pure love and trying that way, and it's very freeing and liberating, but that even takes a while to sort of navigate and learn how to do. It's its own form of tightrope at first, and Paul goes back and even gives analogies of children. Even children who have inherited something, they don't get all of that. Even though they own it all, they don't get it until they're ready, until their father has decided the time is right and they've grown enough and matured enough to receive the inheritance. And that's what God does for us. And God asks us to his promise is his promise. He says, let go, stop trying, let it just unfold and happen. In the becoming, just do what I'm asking you to do, which under the umbrella of grace and love, that's really be humble. Be humble is number one, is like the number one thing. Be humble, be accepting, let go, stop trying to do things in your own way. Bring all of that energy back to yourself, which then, when we really accept grace, we can give it to other people. We're going, wow, right, it must be hard. That's actually what invites people and plants a seed. Not our you really should try and do better. That doesn't work. Jesus role modeled all of this. Feel like a student in a math class. I didn't get math until I got a math teacher that knew how to teach people that didn't get math. And then I was sitting there going, oh, I feel like I'm that now. I'm a little hard-headed. This is why it's good for me to go so deep with this, because now it's finally like, oh, and I have to get it over and over. Are you like that? You have to get it over and over again. I don't just get things. And I think most human beings don't either, but we think we do. These brains actually get in our way of actually knowing things, because the human being is really supposed to be a human becoming. In order to come into being, you've got to walk it out, and part of that walking it out in God's economy is to sit with it. Let him move in and do the walking. You getting still, be still and know, you getting still so you can tune into that still small voice, the intuition, the Holy Spirit, and then following that voice, that spirit, those directions, which is totally different than the world. And so when you even see other people when you start to really get this, and this is where I'm at the very beginning stages, it's going to be so cool, to really walk this out, I think, is that I really am able to look at people now, even when they're being quote unquote idiots, or what I would have thought was being an idiot before, to now going, wow, Isn't that fascinating that they see the world that way? Like, I'm having to be really intentional about those thoughts because the first thoughts are still automatic, like, what an idiot. But now I can go, whoa, wait a minute. Actually, maybe that's really fascinating and curious and interesting. And look how hard they're trying. And isn't that good? Like, noticing, trying to really be intentional about noticing what's good that I see in people. And I think that's what Jesus was able to do. He was seeing the good. He was seeing past all of the human trying and the efforts that really just enslaves us. And even Paul is teaching me now how to go back and really read the Old Testament. I started as a rookie and just read the Old Testament but I was getting a lot just by sitting with it and meditating on it. But now he's saying, look, that was an illustration. That was an analogy. They tried to do things in their own strength. And so now we've got a whole group of people that are imprisoned to the law and human effort. And this is what it gets you versus our mother, the children of freedom. Our mother is Sarah. And how much more abundant that is. And the fruit of that, finally trusting and letting God fulfill his promise, not hearing the promise and then going, that's great, but I think that's pretty impossible, so I'm going to go over here and fulfill the promise for myself in my own strength. That doesn't work. So in the waiting, in the stillness, in the becoming, and allowing that to work in you, allow the Holy Spirit to speak to you. But we're so busy out there scattering our energy, trying to be good, trying to help other people be good, fix themselves, do the things. And it's a waste of our energy. And until you come back home to yourself, partner with God in here, like everything out there is a reflection of what's going on in here. Whoa, like really think about that. I have heard people say things like this, and I'm like, what? No, that's not true. Like, but now that I'm actually sitting with it and going, wow, this is true. Every one of us is living in the world according to whatever your name is. Mine is the world according to Felicia, and the world according to so-and-so. And, again, put your name in there and really observe that with curiosity. And then where we come into trouble is that we all think that we're living by the world according to a higher power, and we're not. We are not. We are trying so hard, and the law condemns. It is death, it is constricting, but you have to, you almost have to experience it that way and get to the end of yourself with, okay, I just can't do this anymore. Or you, like me, you pick up your wine glass, right? And just say, I'm just going to check out for a while. Or eat the second helpings of things and watch the Netflix and scroll on your phone. I just can't with these people anymore. They will not live according to my expectations. What the heck? I need a glass of wine. These people are just, it's enough. I can't do it anymore. That was how I was. And I felt very justified in, toxifying myself. And, because I deserved the treat for putting up with all these idiots. And now being fascinated as an observer and as somebody who's becoming free from all of that and going, wow, this is so interesting. This is Alice in Wonderland comes to my mind, this journey of faith. I'm going down the rabbit hole, talking to the Mad Hatter. Y'all might think I'm crazy. That's okay. It's fun down here or up here. Yeah, God's world is not living according to human standards and human expectations and trying so hard to be good. It's exhausting. Let it go, girls and boys. Let it go. Let it go. Let yourself flow. Anyway, human becoming. We are meant to be free. We are children of the mother of freedom. God's promise fulfilled through a woman, multiple women. And that is our birthright. It is our birthright. And we want to go over and live according to man and man's rules and man's efforts. And it's exhausting. I'm done. I'm out. Peace out. No. But it's actually going to help me be here and be with other people with true peace and harmony, which is what I was trying to get by even trying to seek it temporarily in a wine glass, or comforting myself with food and other self-soothing things, and people-pleasing and all the things. Liberation, but I know I've got to take it slow. And humility, hold hands with humility. Yes, grace works. It absolutely does. And what's interesting is like I the lightness of it, but being willing to be humble. I heard the best saying yesterday that I'm going to really hold on to. The best quote that I saw ever. It was like, you know what? When I admit that I'm always wrong, when I'm always willing to be wrong, always right. Think about that. Meditate on that. All right. Talk to you all later. Rise and shine together. Galatians chapter 4.